Hello and welcome to this RedMonk conversation. My name is Kate Holterhoff, Senior Analyst at RedMonk, and with me today I have Deb Nicholson, Executive Director of the Python Software Foundation. Deb has deep roots in software advocacy and is a founder of the Seattle GNU Linux Conference. She's also alumni of the Open Source Initiative and the Software Freedom Conservancy. So Deb, thanks so much for joining me on the Monkcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad we ran into each other at GitHub Universe last week.
I tell you what, I know it was so serendipitous because on the RedMonk Slack channel, we had been talking about some recent news at the PSF. And so the moment that we made this connection, I was like, I got to get her on the Monkcast to tell me all of the things. So
Yeah,
let's get to it. So
yeah,
the PSF, it's been in the
yes,
news.
yeah,
Maybe I think for our listeners who aren't as familiar, we should set the groundwork a little bit first. That'll be the teaser. But before we dive in, will you first tell us what the PSF is responsible for and what you do there?
yeah. So the Python Software Foundation maintains all the infrastructure for the programming language, as well as the package index, which has like zillions of packages on it from the internet, and some great, some the other thing. We do all of that. We also take care of all the legal things that go along with having like a massive global programming language, like trademarks and stuff like that. And we work really hard to support the global community of Python users.
Yeah. So basically nothing. You guys just hanging out, just chilling.
Yeah, I'm totally like just 2 hours a week and then I sleep the rest. Oh, that'd be the dream.
All right.
We
Living the
also
dream.
run a massive conference that happens in May in the US. So
I've heard such good things about that conference. That's amazing. Okay. All right.
CFP's open if you want to,
Yeah, throw in your hat. I am a Python fangirl for sure. Yeah, that was the first programming language that I tried out. I bought a book. I wish I could remember what it was called now, but yeah, it was. It's big in the digital humanities, which is how I sort of got into this whole scene. So
Yeah,
okay,
Python is very much like kind of like a Swiss Army knife. It's I feel like some of the other languages it's a little bit more like you'll probably end up here or here, and it's like okay. Whereas Python, it's like you could end up anywhere, like digital
yes,
humanities, like curing cancer, like writing weird scripts for your smart home, or like creating the robots that are going to control the future. Who knows? Like it could take you anywhere. Space. There's Python in space.
there's Python in space. Yeah, no, I can attest to less the space, but definitely to the fact that academics love it. It's big in the circles that I was running in before joining the RedMonk crew. All right, so let's talk about this proposal. So,
Yeah.
it was January 2025. The PSF submitted a proposal to the U.S. government National Science Foundation under the Safety, Security, and Privacy of Open Source Ecosystems program to address structural vulnerabilities in Python and PyPI. I want to hear what happened next.
Right. So we worked on it really hard. This is our first time ever doing a government grant. They are very specific, bureaucratically speaking. So we submitted that, and then we kind of like, all right, let's find out. And then in the interim, we did see like some people had like particularly software carpentries had a question about like, hey, there seems to be a little phrase in the contract that you sign once you're awarded about DEI was the way they use it. So diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they ended up turning down their grant. So we were like, well, maybe we'll have some experts take a look at this, or maybe some massive, larger entity like, I don't know, Harvard or whatever, might take it to court and overturn that phrase in the NSF grant language, like in the interim. None of that happened. We asked some really specific questions when we spoke with the NSF. We're like, could we get a waiver? Could we just not sign this part? Like, could you put something in writing that says like, that you mean the thing that people get mad about on the internet, which is like where you will only hire like non-white, non-men people. And it's like, no, we follow the law and we hire whoever is best for the position. but they wouldn't clarify, they wouldn't do a waiver, they wouldn't let us not sign it. No other massive entity took it to court and won an amazing victory to get that kind of like weird side language out of the agreement. And so the PSF, in addition to like all the other things that I mentioned, we host the International Network of Pi Ladies chapters, which I think most people would say is a diversity initiative. So there's just really no way for us to sign something, say we're saying we're not doing DEI and continue to do the work that we do. So it's in our mission statement. It's kind of in everything we do. And then on top of that, it said, if we catch you doing the DEI, we will take the money back. And I'm like, oh, so we don't have an office. We don't have like, like a lot of fun, weird nerd furniture or whatever. Like we just pay salaries. We're all remote. So any money that gets taken back is money that we've probably already paid out to people's paychecks. So we can't sign anything like that, regardless of what the clause is. But in this particular case, we're not willing to say we're not going to do any DEI while we've received this grant, which, just to to bring it all the way back, is for cybersecurity. It wasn't for a diversity initiative. It's not for an internship. It's not for grants. It's not for like some kind of like Python women's studies proposal. It was cybersecurity, which I think benefits everyone.
Yeah, with legal stuff, when they just don't explain what all it's going to, encompass. I mean, it puts
Hmm.
you in a terrible position. And I think that's the crux of it, right? That they were asking you to sign something that you couldn't say one way or the other would be defensible, and
Hmm.
therefore you just had to opt out entirely.
Yeah. Well, and it was like, we would never sign something saying we're not doing DEI. If they asked
Yeah.
us to sign something saying we comply with the law and the Equal Opportunity Act and don't do prejudicial hiring, like I could sign that, but it didn't say that. It was like a sentence written, felt like someone wrote it between like one thing and another thing and took like maybe 4 minutes on it. So
My God.
and then it was like, or you give the money back. And it's like, okay, like, which is unprecedented, I think, from what I've been told from other people that have taken NSF grants. Like, a pretty common thing would be maybe like, oh, like we're not going to renew for the second round because the work you did on the first year didn't quite like meet what we thought it was going to meet. So we're going to decline to fund for the second year. And that's like, oh, okay, that's money you didn't already get. And you knew there was a possibility that that could happen. But to say like, oh no, like we could come back, and there was no time limit on it. Like, you know, 2 years later, 5 years later, 20 years later, who knows? Like, we'll just come back and take the money if we ever find out that you were doing DEI during the time that you received the grant. Like, okay.
God. Oh
Yeah.
my, I can't imagine that anyone could take that grant. I mean, it's like a bomb, it could go off anytime.
Well, I think that there are, so, the PSF's been around for a long time. We have a lot of different activities. I think there are probably newer organizations that are a little bit like more tightly focused on one thing, don't do a lot of community outreach work, and don't have such a long tail and long history. And so, it's possible that there are entities out there that could take that. But like for us with the long history and the intention to continue supporting women using Python, we definitely couldn't sign it.
And since this has happened, so when was it that you published the blog post?
It was last week, I think last Thursday, so almost a week
Oh my
ago.
gosh, about a
Yeah.
week ago.
Hmm.
And since then, the internet blew up. I've
Yeah.
seen all kinds of folks rallying around the PSF. Talk to me about what you've seen since making your own announcement.
It's been pretty amazing, actually. Like, I had a feeling that a lot of our community would be like, high five, man, that was the right thing to do. What I didn't completely expect was that people would self-organize matching donations. So like a number of like community regulars, like Cliff and Amethyst were like, yeah, we're gonna like we're gonna match anybody's contributions. We got a lot of larger gifts. We put a funny like 256 gift in there, like on our page, like because it's math nerd stuff. And a couple people were like, I'm gonna do it. I wouldn't have before, but like this brought me over the edge. As of this morning, we have $156,000 raised since this announcement came out. Um, Now that's a tenth of the half million and a half dollars that we were trying to get from the NSF, but it's amazing. It's 156K and a half, and it's from people that want us to keep doing our work the way we do it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It just it demonstrates that the community is there and that you are doing what I believe a foundation should be doing, which is speaking for that particular group of developers, that those users, those practitioners, right?
Yeah.
You're doing what they're asking you to do. You're advocating, right?
Yeah, and Python, like I said, it's a Swiss Army knife. It's for everyone. Like, I can't say that it's only for certain kinds of people. And we really try to make Python the easiest language to learn and the easiest community to get into. And that's like foundational to our mission, like the reason that we do Python. Like, it's not the fastest, it's not the newest. It doesn't have the most funding. Well, we already talked about that. But but it is a fantastic place to get started programming. It is a fantastic place to learn to code. If code isn't your main thing, you're like, oh, I'm actually trying to send telescopes to space, but I guess I got to learn a programming language. And we're like, we got you, you know? It's for us, like, it being for everyone is like core to our mission.
And talk to me about why cybersecurity is so important today. Like, what is going on with programming languages that make this
hmm
so important to fund?
So there's kind of two things. One, I would say the entire open source community like made that a next week problem for a really long time, until Log4j, and then it was like, okay, I guess this is the week. Like, yeah, whatever. But that happened, and then also there's been the Cyber Resilience Act, which passed European legislation that requires a little bit more out of people who provide software to consumers. So we have a little bit of a like a special situation there as an open source steward, but we know that our users are looking more than ever for things like SBOMs, like us cleaning out deprecated stuff from PyPI, keeping a close eye on malware. And then also our mission is to give Python to everyone. It's sort of like, if I went and dropped off like dirty sweaters full of holes for like a clothing drive, like it's kind of garbage, right? Like, if we're giving a gift to the community, it should be a good gift, and it shouldn't be full of malware and weird deprecated stuff. It should be like top notch, like cared for, like current and secure.
Makes sense to me, 100%. And talk to me about PyPI. What exactly does that do for the community?
So PyPI is the package index, and that has like a ton of packages on it that the community has provided to extend the way that you use Python. It's one of the reasons that Python is so popular for math, for data, for AI, is because there are a ton of libraries that have been added to the like community pool for people to use Python in those specific instances. And so that like really extends the use of Python as a language in a couple of key areas, and probably some weird niche ones that I don't even know about, but like, because there's so many packages there. Um, but it is that is what makes Python kind of like feel more purpose built for stuff that we didn't like specifically build it for.
Got it. And so the equivalent in another language would be NPM, correct?
Yeah, or crates, or yeah, there's a number of different languages that have that language and then pile of packages. And we do talk to each other actually a little bit, because like stuff comes up. We're like, oh, are you getting a bunch of these? And they're like, oh, yes, we're getting a bunch of those. What did you do? Like, so we do talk to each other, especially Rust, because they also have like a big package index.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am the most familiar with NPM.
Okay.
And of course, NPM has been in the news a lot lately because of these attacks. This is
hmm
exactly what we're hearing about. I've also, heard a little bit about some of these new attack vectors that AI is creating, where if you
hmm
are vibe coding something, it might include a malicious package.
hmm
So it's an evolving space. It's
Yeah.
something that's extremely important. And my understanding is it's very expensive to run one of these. So yeah. So PyPI, I mean, this is no small feat that you're trying to take on all of these malicious actors while supporting the community so that Python can do what it does best, which is be the Swiss Army knife that you're talking about.
Yeah, and we do have someone who works on PyPI security, Mike Fiedler. I don't know if you got to meet him while you were at GitHub Universe, but that's his whole day is looking at PyPI and working on it. But he's one person. Like, he's a really amazing person, but like, people have to sleep and eat and stuff, so like, limited, right? And so like, could we use a second mic? Like, totally. And and there it is always evolving, like new stuff. Like, I mean, this is the case with security, like even before AI got in there, but like, it does seem maybe a little bit faster where people are able to spin up new fun challenges for us. But yeah, like we get that, like we also get like kind of slot patches sometimes, which we have to look at. And so like, yeah, AI has totally changed that space in some ways. And yeah, I think like usually I think malicious actors used to know they were malicious actors. And we have had a few recent where they were like, what? And we're and it's like, oh, you don't know. Like,
Oh, no.
yeah. So
Oh,
that's like kind of a new thing where we've had a couple people that like we contacted, we're like, we're going to take down your malicious package. And then they're like, my what now? And oh, like
mm,
you thought this,
uh-oh.
oh, because you vibe coded it. Okay. And not to say like, yeah, vibe code, but like maybe like understand a little bit about what you're doing. And if you're like, oh, I don't know what those three big chunks in the middle do, but they seem to work. Like, okay. Again, maybe that's not a sweater you want to gift.
And how do you host this then? Like, I mean, there's got to be
Oh,
just
the bandwidth is massive.
thousands and thousands of packages, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like a 500,000. And it's
500,000. Okay.
yeah. And it is a huge amount of bandwidth. We wrote about this recently, like it like some of the entities that hit PyPI like just kind of check every time they like turn on. So
Mm,
that's a lot. I think we would not be able to host PyPI without the help that we get from Fastly for bandwidth. And they made a 5-year commitment. And so so like never go out of business, Fastly.
yeah. Shout out to Fastly.
Yeah. And they do that not just for us, but for a few other like similar entities in the community that are very committed to open source. Um, and so yeah, the bandwidth, like people send like questions, like we're in the midst of trying to like give entities like a way to control the way they use PyPI, which is called PyPI org. So if your company has lots of workers that use PyPI all day long and you would like to kind of like consolidate or maybe like control a little bit more about their experience or regularize it, we are working on that platform so that people can kind of pay us for a little bit more of like a workspace to coordinate activities for corporate usage. Um, and that's still like evolving. We're not entirely sure like what all people want. But we went from like, oh, I guess your workers will just download anything to like, okay, maybe now you could put some guardrails in there. But yeah, it's massive, and like the Python usage is just like exponential. So the bandwidth and the downloads just increases year on year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I have two main questions I want to ask you. I'm debating like which one to go first. So let's do this one first. Okay. Programming languages and communities. The role of foundations feels like it's in flux, and
Mm.
I'm based in Atlanta, so we got KubeCon coming up, the CNCF. We talked the OpenJS Foundation was out in force at GitHub Universe too. Speaking of that, and so I talk with a lot of folks about this, and I feel like there's a lot of philosophies around it. So I would be interested in yours. What would you say is the role of the foundation for supporting these communities? What do you how do you think about it when you wake up in the morning?
Yeah. So our role is like we're here to support the community is what I'm saying. And
Okay.
so like the community's been there for a long time. They continue to be there. Like we we work with the steering council. So like the PSF doesn't actually make technical decisions about what goes into Python, what doesn't go into Python. Um,
Okay.
I found out like someone asked me when I first started this role 3 years ago, and they're like, "Can you bring back Python too?" And I'm like, "Oh, even if I could, I wouldn't, but it's actually not my job to do that." Like that is or are you guys ever going to do anything about like the speed of Python? And I'm like,
Hmm.
if the community feels strongly about like focusing on that and adding more of that to core, then they will. But I'm not the person to lobby for that. Um,
Hmm.
like if once the community is like, yes, that's what we want to do, then it's like, okay, let me see how I can help you. So like we work to support the steering council and the core developers. Like they meet twice a year, once at PyCon US and once usually somewhere else to sprint together for like a week. And ARM just sponsored the one that happened this past month. So it was it's like we work with them to make sure they have time to meet, that they have resources, that they have funding. So the other thing that we do with the steering council is um, we worked with a couple of different sponsors to get 3 C Python developers and residents funded so that there are people who work on C Python full time. And so they work for the foundation as contractors, but they answer to the steering council and kind of more broadly to the community. And so that's
Okay.
like kind of like how the relationship is. I think in other places you would call it a TAC or a technical advisory committee, but it's community elected. So it's a little bit different over here.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And as a former educator, I'm always interested in certification programs. Do you also do some education? I mean, I can see how conference is kind of, obliquely related. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's so we don't specifically, we support a lot of educational events. So like there are lots of people that want to like they learn Python and they're like, I want to teach more people. And so like teach-ins, Django Girls workshops, like just any kind of like thing where people are kind of peer teaching. So we support a pretty vast network of peer teachers, sometimes like formally with a grant thing and sometimes less formally by like kind of introducing them to each other and things like that. Um, and we do have an education work group that's looking at that peer teaching experience and what resources might like, and they're a little bit new, so they don't have too much like on the website yet, but they're looking at what resources could be useful to peer teachers. There are people that do teach Python. We actually have lots of people who have written books in the community. So when you said earlier, like I read a book and I'm like, that could be any of like 8.
Could be
Um,
anyone.
yeah, I know. We tried to do something where we invited them all to come to the PyCon US booth once, and it was like, oh no, and it was like, wait, we're hitting this problem where what if we didn't invite 1 or 2, and they feel like a little because we
Oh
have
my God.
so many authors in the community. Um, but yeah, so we don't officially do like educational resources, but we do support the global network of peer teachers. Either with like help for their event or like help finding each other.
Okay. And I know it's really big in the classroom too.
Mm-hmm.
At universities,
Mm-hmm.
do you send folks into like actual like university
S
settings?
No, so the academic thing is kinda its own,
Ah,
it works on its own pace, it works on its own thing. We have talked with Apereo a little bit, which is a, foundation that specifically focuses on getting, um open source into universities and helping them kind of like use open source correctly and to like its full potential. And so we have talked with them about like kind of more formalizing a relationship with Python educators in like
mm,
college and university settings. um but that hasn't quite that was also another grant that I think we probably won't get, because we were going to apply for something together. So uh from the US government, so I think we're, like, on their no list for a little while.
geez.
Yeah. But, it is something we're aware of, but, like, Python is like, you don't have to ask the PSF permission to, like, teach Python or talk about Python or write a book about Python, like, you don't need our permission, like, just do it.
Yeah.
And that's the case, like, with the educators. It's, a number of years ago, I read a study saying that, like, Python is the best programming language for computer science education retention. And I assume educators have read the same study. Um, so they've converted. Like I live in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and like a number of years ago, like MIT used Fortran for their computer science 101 because they've been doing computer science for a long time. And they switched
Yeah.
right to Python. And then Harvard was like, I don't know what they were using before, but they were doing Java for many, many years. And then
I was going to
switched
say,
to
yeah.
Python maybe like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And so now they use Python for their 101. And so but like none of them talk to me. I just kind of like hear whatever, like computer science gossip in town. Like they didn't have to ask our permission or get in touch or anything. And just like buy a book from somebody and start teaching Python. And that's like the beauty of open source is that there's like we try to make it like no gatekeeping, right?
And that is the vibe that I get from it as well. Yeah,
Good.
I,
The
I,
vibes are right.
but yeah, to add to that list there, I would say, so I'm still an affiliated researcher at Georgia Tech, and I
Uh-huh.
know that their students begin with MATLAB, but many then transition to using Python.
Yeah.
But yes, Java, I believe it was like a decade ago, by many studies, was the most common language to be taught in university settings, and Python overtook it though.
Yeah,
And so
and
yeah, that
Java
makes
was
sense. 7 years ago. Yeah.
I started with Java and like it makes a lot of sense because, they were selling it as like, they were really trying to let you know like there's going to be a lot of jobs for you when you graduate. And when you
Yeah.
went and looked at like Dice or whatever it was, like it was all Java jobs. And so I completely get it. Java's very well suited for that sort of modular big enterprise sort of thing where like, the encapsulation keeps you from messing up other people's code, which if you have a lot of employees is probably very important. And probably many people learned the hard way. We're like, we need a language that keeps people out of each other's stuff. So no knock. I'm not knocking on any of the other languages. It just like for undergrads who are maybe taking other classes, like having something that's a little bit easier to learn, just turns out to be the best for retention. And that language is Python.
Well, I know many Python devotees, and because we do keep mentioning our being a GitHub universe, I do want to mention the Octaverse report. So they, announced that the language rankings that they run showed that TypeScript has overtaken JavaScript, but last year Python overtook. I believe it was TypeScript at that point. So, anyways,
Yeah.
but Python was at the top. And
Mhm.
as a former web dev, I was like, this is a fun bone to pick with me because I feel like separating JavaScript and TypeScript to begin with is kind of
Yeah.
sus,
Mhm.
especially if you're going to then take it and extrapolate that AI has overtaken the web. I don't know about all that. We could have a fight about that particular sort of conclusion from that study, but I do think it's noteworthy that Python is at that top of the list. So, can you speak to that at all? Like, how's Python doing it? How is it? Is it just AI? Is that the answer?
I mean, it's not AI. I think it's definitely that, but it's also like it's the data science, like, like the scientific Python usage. It's just I think Python has probably the most users that don't consider themselves programmers, right? They're like, "Oh, I'm like studying this weird thing in rats." Like, and it's like, "Oh, but you use Python." It's like, "Oh, sure, all day every day." But like I'm a rat researcher. Like, "Oh, okay." And so we have the most people that like don't consider themselves programmers as like daily current users, right? Um so the use case is just a little bit different. And then of course because of the data science and all the math libraries, that really did lay the groundwork for AI. I don't think anyone knew like how the like increase in usage on AI was going to go, but we're kind of like already sitting there with all the math libraries. So like we didn't like go out and be like, "Hey, can I talk to you about AI?" Like, uh no one actually probably needs anyone else to talk to them about AI. They've probably been talked about it. But but we're just like, oh, all the math, like we've just been sitting here with that. Like, we have math. It's in the back if you want. So, so that just worked out to be like kind of a happy coincidence because like, I think, there are other programming languages that are, purpose built for other specific things. And, we just kind of like really landed in that math niche. And that's like AI is just kind of really opinionated math. So there we are.
It's the rise of math. So web developers, take that. It's the rise of math.
Sorry, I love the web. Like, please keep making web. I want math. Like, could put math in the back, and please still have web on the front.
Yeah, like I said, I deny the whole premise that the web is being dethroned in any by any metric.
Yeah, no. I know no one who's been on the internet for more than like a month would say that like the trend is towards back end and not front end. Like, I would say users more and more demand like a nice front end that is not confusing and is not like weird or shifty like every time you move your cursor or like resize your window or whatever. Like the kind of things that we put up with the early days of some of the software tools that we had like maybe 20 years ago, people would be like, nope, no, I'm not even downloading that, looking at that screenshot. Like, did you say Harry Courier font and like windows that resize badly? No. Like, so I don't think the front end's going anywhere.
Yes. Well, this is certainly the drum that I bang on all the time.
That's just a guest drum for me. But so
yeah. I know. I poke fun at the Octoverse report because RedMonk has its own language ranking that also separates TypeScript and JavaScript. Fine. I feel like I'm permitted to do so. So it's it's fine.
I have heard that, and it's like, yeah, we're not in charge of these things either, but like, maybe you'll get to have the person who is on the show someday.
Well, Rachel typically writes the post for RedMonk, and if she ever, tried to claim that the web is going away based on that data, I would have some strong words. I'd be in the comments section, so she knows what I think.
Maybe you'll get someone in the comments for this that has opinions about TypeScript and JavaScript. Like she'll never be
totally
lumped
different
together.
Well, that's good. I'm ready. Let's do it anytime.
You sound ready. I'm excited for you.
I am. I'll challenge. Okay, amazing. So I'd say let's go ahead and like begin to wrap this up here.
Okay.
So I absolutely want to know what folks should do if they want to participate in what the PSF is doing and try to help.
How can you help us make up $1.5 million gap? So that we can do more cybersecurity work, so that we can do more grants work, so that we can do more of what we do as usage increases. You can give us your personal money. We will definitely take that. We love that. Even better is if you are hanging out with your boss or you're the boss, your company should sponsor Python. If you use Python all day, every day, then you should be participating as a sponsor, as like someone who gives your employees time to come and be part of Python core and be part of the conversations and pay attention to like what's going on in Python. If you're just here for the community and you're trying to learn Python, I would say find a Python meetup near you. Even though Python is easy to learn, it is easier with friends, and you can make new friends at your local Python meetup group, or PyLadies, or PyData, whatever you choose, whatever your town has. And those people are all really nice and really passionate about learning Python together. If you want to come and join us in California, we will be in Long Beach in May for PyCon US, and the CFP is open now. I have found over many years at many different jobs that if you get a talk into the conference, your boss is almost guaranteed to want to send you. So get a talk in and then come hang out with us in Long Beach in May.
This has been such a great talk. Okay. Again, my name is Kate Holterhoff, Senior Analyst at RedMonk. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like, subscribe, and review the Monkcast on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching us on RedMonk's YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, and engage with us in the comments.
Thank you so much.